Okay guys, let's talk about driver. So one of the things that I get a lot of questions about with students that I work with online or people that come to visit for lessons is about that sort of iron swing to sort of long iron hybrid fairward swing to driver swing. And to be honest with you, I was somebody who a long time ago would have really thought about the swing being very, very different. So when I was a junior golfer, I played at Shirley Golf Club, and what you had to do to be good at Shirley Golf Club, because there was lots of dog legs, is you had to be good with your long irons and get good placement. And if you could do that, then you generally have a short to mid iron into a green and you could sort of score pretty well. But what this sort of taught me to do was be a little bit steep. Okay, and plus when I was playing, you know, a decent level as amateur golf, I'd play a lot of links golf tournaments as well, and you're always conditioning yourself to kind of keep the flight of the ball down. And what this meant is I would often fire my right hip forward. This would make the club shaft come down pretty steep. This was not too bad if I want to hit thumping down on the back of the golf ball. But the problem is, if you imagine that my thumb is the golf ball and the club head is a plane coming down to land, and the green stick here is the ground, but also our sort of runway analogy. What I was very good at was coming down quite steep on the back of the ball, so I would always strike the ball first, and this meant I could kind of control the face and play like a bit of a sort of fade shape, but it would never translate to driver. Driver, I would just sort of miss right, or would end up having to hit like a bit of a cutty shot and just sacrificing distance. And what I learned over time, and particularly more I suppose in reflection as I became a coach, is really what you want to do is you want to try and find an optimum balance where, of course, we don't want the club to come down too soon so it rises, but we do want to get the sensation of keeping the club as low to the ground as possible. And that's why with all of the videos that I put out with all my students, I always talk a lot about width and not using the hands any more than necessary. But I want to talk about the right arm, because the right arm is really, really important, and like I say, particularly with the driver. So I was somebody who, will show you this from that sidearm perspective again, who would be this way, right, which is quite a common sort of amateur move. And what we need to do is obviously not that, because if I show you from this face arm perspective now, if I do that same move, see how close that club head is to me, right? And what we want to do is not this. We want to try and get the feeling of getting the club head down towards the ground, like so. The reason why this is important as a conversation is because then I meet some students that will get the sensation of throwing the club, but then this arm gets too far away from you and then you end up scooping. So the point of the matter is that the big thing that you need to understand is the position of your right forearm. So if I move my right forearm down to the ground, that has a steepening effect, and that makes the club, or your plane analogy, come crashing down. We don't want that. If I get the feeling of keeping my right forearm more up to the sky as I move my upper arm to the side of me or my elbow to my hip, can you see the way this does a few things? One, it gets the club shaft coming down nicely on plane, but also you can see the way it adds width. See, the club head is moving away from my body. And that would be my preferred method as opposed to an excessive throwing sensation. Now, if I do it with a rope trainer, you can see, keep my forearm up to the sky, it still has that throwing slash whipping look, but the whipping sensation is very much occurring by my elbow moving to the side of my body, keeping the forearm up to the sky. And if you can do that, then you're going to have a really good chance at progressing with all of your clubs, and you'll become good long iron player. You'll become great with your irons, great with everything. So you can have that same thought holistically. So what you really need to get rid of is any sort of sensation of this, and that right forearm pointing down to ground. What you want to start working on is keep the right forearm up to the sky as you come in towards the sort of delivery position. So that's kind of this position here, parallel. And then from here, you're going to allow your arms to rotate to square the club face. And then as you swing through, if you've matched those up nicely, you should notice the way the club can pass through with ease. So work on it. I promise you it'll make a massive difference. And I'll see you guys again really, really soon.